Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the First Parish in Framingham. We are a welcoming congregation, so whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever and whenever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. We welcome you however you are joining us during this time of worship, whether here in the meeting house, online, or however you may be watching this in the future. My name is Kevin Stern. I use they and them pronouns. I serve as a co-chair of your Board of Assessors. I sing, I ring handbells, and I'm your worship associate this morning. Please be sure to read the announcements in your order of service. There are many activities happening after worship. Immediately following the service, you are invited across this courtyard to Scott Hall for coffee and conversation. Please take a moment to turn off your phones and other devices and turn them to their quietest settings. While electronic noises can be distracting, we welcome your human noises, especially the sounds of your laughter and your singing, so please join in. Since 1701, people have gathered as this community to rest or recharge, to be challenged or affirmed. Those people are like you. You belong here. Maybe only for the next hour, but we hope for longer. And we are so happy to have you with us. I now invite you to take a comfortable breath in and out. Continue to take a few more breaths and begin to release whatever you need to let go of in order to be more fully present to yourself, one another, and the sacred in this time and place. A flame within a chalice is the primary symbol of our faith tradition. We make this time holy by kindling our chalice flame. Brian C. Lee writes, "We light our chalice as a symbol of the light within us and the life that flows through the world around us. It is our beacon as we search for truth. It is the warmth in our hearts for love. And it is the energy that propels us to action. May we be kindled by our time together." Please rise as you are able to sing hymn 343, A Fire Mist and a Planet.
Starfish and
please stay standing for our sung and spoken affirmations.
I am the Reverend Aaron Stockwell Wisman. I use he, him, his pronouns, and it is my honor to serve as your senior minister. A little bit about the hymn that we sung. It is a little bit of a strange one, isn't it? This was a favorite of the Unitarian-Universalist congregation of Lawrence, Kansas, where I served for 2 years as their interim minister. And when I got there, it was the first time I had heard this hymn. And then I turned to my right in the minister's study and saw the lyrics written out by Caruth framed in a wall in his own handwriting. Caruth was a poetry professor at the University of Kansas, go Jayhawks, and he was president of one of the legacy congregations of the Unitarian-Universalist congregation of Lawrence. So I know the land that he sings of when that we sing of with those words. This is the time in our service that we set aside for the sharing of the things which weigh deepest on our hearts, our milestones, our happy and sad occasions. We share them because joy shared is joy expanded, and sorrow shared can feel as though someone is sharing our burden. You can submit your joys or sorrows either online or by writing them at the back of the sanctuary in the book that is now on the chancel. We intersperse into our sharing the song, "There is a Love." We do this because this means that our joys and sorrows are held in song, and also so that you might have a song to sing when you need it the most. These are the sorrows and concerns of our gathered community. Ellen Cormier shares this concern. Ellen asks that we all continue to support Carol Lawton. Mourning is a long process. Kevin Stern shares this concern. My grandparents put down their cat on Friday. They've had many cats, but this one hits the hardest. Sarah Middleman shares this concern. I am thinking of my neighbor, friend, and First Parish member, Denise Moorhead, whose husband, Joe Stanley, passed away Friday, March 28th, after just 24 hours in hospice care. He had esophageal cancer, which spread to his brain. Denise was with him and would appreciate expressions of sympathy. We'll send out her mailing address so you can send cards. Sarah Morrison-Neal shares this concern. Please light a candle for my father who is having open heart surgery next week. Let us sing, "There is a Love." There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all I And these are the joys of our gathered community. Michael Packard shares this joy. I have been offered a position as ministerial intern at the Unitarian-Universalist Church of Nashua, New Hampshire, starting in August. And Valerie and Michael Packard share this joy. Valerie and Mike celebrated their 22nd wedding anniversary on April 5th. And Valerie Packard shares this joy. It has been 20 years since I had my stem cell transplant to cure me of Hodgkin's lymphoma. Carol and Bob Boyce share this joy. We were happy to celebrate my dad's 97th birthday in Connecticut yesterday with extended family there, including our son Alex from out of town. Tom Greeley shares this joy. Amazing performances last night. Thank you, Dean Arvidsson, and all the talented musicians you brought to our church. Dave Doucette shares this joy and a bit of an update. I wanted to provide an update on the clock. I have reached out to the metal fabrication shop at Keefe Tech and will meet with them on Monday to discuss repairing or refabricating the broken piece that is several feet up in the clockworks. Also, Dave wants to call your attention to the fact that there are still openings for volunteers who are willing to donate their time and talent to the church. Please reach out to any of the nominating committee members. This joy from Kathy LaChapelle and Jim Hansen. It was so inspiring to see so many people out yesterday chanting and waving signs in the rain to protest the illegal and unconstitutional actions of the current administration. This joy from Eileen and Chris, mirroring Tom's. Thanks to Dean and all the performers for a magnificent concert last night. Dave Marks shares this joy, the birth of granddaughter Reese Jade Hyman. Welcome to the world. And Ben Gustafson shares this joy, so happy to see all the hands-off 2025 protests across the country. Ben says, I am proud to be an American again. Let us sing, There Is a Love. There is a love, holding us. There is a love, holding all that we have. There is a love, holding all, and we rest in this love. We light one final candle for all of the joys and, oh boy. Oh, you were Yeah. We light one final candle for all of the joys and all of the sorrows that remain too great to share, but deeply held on our hearts today. Now we return our attention to our breath in and our breath out. We feel the support of this gathered community. The people sitting to our left and our right. The sheltering walls of this space. O weaver of the universe, web of life, web of creation, mycelia, roots, community, network in and beyond our comprehending. We hold the joys close, all of the things which we are thankful for: new life, celebrations of love, new pathways to explore our deepest calling, the sharing of talents, the uprising. We give thanks for all these and more. We give thanks for the trees just beginning to bud, and for the rain, too. We also give thanks for all of the more tender things that we share today. Loved ones mourning the loss of other loved ones. We hold all of the tender spots of our world. Let us each be strengthened and fortified for the work to come, whatever that work looks like. Working to bend the arc of the universe towards justice. It does not happen alone. We need all of us to make it. And from time to time, we slip up with our words, we fumble, we fail, we put distance between ourselves and others. Though that distance can be painful, the good news is that because we are still breathing, there is time to move back into right relationship. By saying, I'm sorry. By asking, how can I do better? May all that is holy hear these words. May it be so. Now we get even quieter. This is the time where your only task is actually to have no task at all, to listen, to rest, and to sit in the community of this community. May the silence that we have held here be something that we can return to whenever we need it most.
Paul Dalzell reminds us, the offering we take each Sunday is an opportunity to recommit to this place and to these people. It is as much a ritual as singing together, lighting our chalice, or reciting our unison affirmation. It is a reminder of that form of love we call generosity. It is how we show that we believe it is important to worship together, to help our community, and to say yes to the values of our faith. If you gave already during the family service, or if this is your first time joining us, you are invited to let the offering plate pass you by. The morning offering will now be joyfully given and gratefully received.
May I be filled with joyful loving kindness. May I be calm and at peace. May I be safe. May happiness surprise me. May I be
This morning's reading is That Which Holds All by the late Nancy Schaffer. Because she wanted everyone to feel included in her prayer, she said right at the beginning several names for the holy. Spirit, she said, Holy One, Mystery, God. But then, thinking these weren't enough ways of addressing that which cannot be fully addressed, she added particularities, saying, Spirit of life, Spirit of love, ancient Holy One, mystery we will not ever fully know, gracious God, and also, Spirit of this earth, God of Sarah, Gaia, thou. And then, tongue loosened, she fell to naming superlatives as well. Most creative one, greatest source, closest hope. Even though superlatives for the sacred seemed to her probably redundant, but then she couldn't stop. One who made the stars, she said, although she knew technically a number of those people didn't believe the stars had been made by any one or thing, but just luckily happened. One who is an entire ocean of compassion, she said, and no one laughed. That which has been present since before the beginning, she said, and the room was silent. Then, although she hadn't imagined it this way, others began to offer names. Peace, said one. One my mother knew, said another. Ancestor, said a third. Wind, rain, breath, said one near the back. Refuge, that which holds all. A child said, water. Someone said, Guan Yin. Then, womb, witness, great kindness, great eagle, eternal stillness. And then there wasn't any need to say the things she'd thought would be important to say, and everyone sat hushed until someone said, Amen.
I think I feel a little bit like Nancy Schaefer in that poem after that beautiful poem. Kevin had to catch a plane. That's why he's heading out now. That's why they're heading out now, excuse me. And that beautiful song choir. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. In our services in April, we are looking at the shared value of pluralism. Pluralism, which is defined by our bylaws as this. We celebrate that all beings are sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. Now, pluralism is largely, I think, a reaction, and if not a reaction, an answer to the problem of exclusivism in the realm of other religions. Exclusivism only looks at other religions to talk about how they are false, compared to the religion of the comparer. Pluralism says that is not true. Pluralism says that there is great damage and violence done when we believe that there is only one true religion. Pluralism then is the antidote. It says there is truth in those other religions. As best as I can tell, we have embraced this value explicitly since the Transcendentalists started embracing Hinduism in the mid-19th century. Later, the Western Unitarian Conference embraced it when they passed a statement which said, "We honor the Bible and all inspiring scriptures, old and new." This statement then led to the organization of the first World Parliament of Religions in 1893 with the help of Unitarians like Jenkin Lloyd Jones and Fanny Barrier Williams. Later, at the Charles Street Meeting House in downtown Boston in the 1950s, Universalist minister Kenneth Patton created a sanctuary display which inspired ours. Ours is a smaller version of his. He had some 51 symbols up around the proscenium arch of that congregation, which highlight the common threads that appear in many of the world's religions. However, our faith tradition did not always embrace pluralism. Anytime there is pluralism, there is also, I think, the necessity to ask, what is the limit? I offer up two examples from our faith tradition, or an outside force imposed on our faith tradition, when someone actually said, too much pluralism. What I think we can learn from these examples is that it can be an important act of faith to define the limits that exist. Just as a faith can grow by allowing expansion and innovation, it can also grow, by which I mean deepen, when you say stop. So for the first event, I invite us to teleport ourselves and do some time travel back to 16th century Transylvania. Everyone with me? So in the 16th century, there was a new king who was coronated. His name was John Sigismund. He found himself the leader of a very divided country religiously. There were the Roman Catholics, the Calvinists, and the Lutherans, all, guess what, preaching against each other. And John Sigismund thought that and realized that there was actually no way to compromise in this setting. So he issues an edict saying, everyone is free to support their own doctrine. And this was revolutionary at the time. There had been no other edict of toleration up until this point. And there were debates. Oh, there were debates. People preached, and they preached. And then there were a group of Unitarian debaters, Unitarian preachers, that were actually so convincing that the king himself, John Sigismund, decided that he was a Unitarian, and he converted. Preacher's name was Francis David. So John Sigismund updates that edict of toleration to include Unitarianism as an acceptable doctrine for everyone to believe in. Go us, we did something great. Unfortunately, Sigismund dies of an accident just after he issues this edict of toleration. This is one of his last public acts. So the first, and as far as I can tell, the only Unitarian king has died. And there is no heir to his throne. So the next king, Stephen Bathory, I do not know the politics or logistics of succession in this country, but Stephen Bathory says, you know, the policy of toleration stands, that's good, but there will be no other innovation. Things are frozen now. Well, you can guess perhaps that, who do you think amongst the Catholics, the Calvinists, the Unitarians, and the Lutherans, who do you think struggles against the ending of innovation? If you guessed us, you're right. There is further debate from Francis David, the court preacher, about important doctrines like the Lord's Supper, baptism, predestination, and, the worship of Jesus himself. Now, Francis David has a Polish physician friend by the name of George Biandrata. And Biandrata is more concerned about the continued existence of the established Unitarian Church than the innovations that his buddy David is preaching. So Biandrata basically tells on David, saying, hey, Francis David, he's preaching a lot of innovation. You need to stop that. So David is charged with the crime of innovation. He is sentenced to a life term in prison, and he dies there. And then the Unitarian Church in Transylvania endures 200 years of stagnation after that. So that's one example. Now, going from, 16th century Transylvania, we need to go to the mid-19th century near Rochester, New York. Let's all imagine that. We are there now. And we need to meet the Fox sisters, Margaret and Kate. They believed that they could hear signs that the dead were communicating with the living. This whole movement was known as spiritualism. My colleague, Mark Harris, who literally wrote the dictionary on Unitarian-Universalism, it's the A to Z of Unitarian-Universalism, explains that this communication with the dead and the desire for it was caused because of a desire at the time to have an empirical method to ensure that there was an afterlife, and therefore that our belief of universal salvation was true. We believed it, we preached it, we needed the evidence to show that it was true. Another colleague of mine, John Behrens, explains it this way. Having used biblical authority to assert that all souls are in the hands of God, many Universalists after 1848 became interested in efforts to communicate with the spirits of departed loved ones. Such experiments were understood not as seeking miraculous suspensions of the laws of nature, but rather an experiential confirmation of a universalist, spiritualist faith that was broadly shared even beyond our denomination. Other Universalists were impressed by the works of the Fox sisters, and so they wrote histories of spiritualism, one of which was even called the Second Book of Mormon. That's how popular it was. It was akin to the Second Book of Mormon. And also the Hopedale community right down the road here was also a hotbed of spiritualism. There were often demonstrations of seances, hypnotism, and other spiritual manifestations. And it actually seemed like there were an equally high number of Universalists who would demonstrate against spiritualism, publishing exposés about the lies and the falsehood of the Fox sisters, including some that said that the Fox sisters were actually causing the rapping noises that were supposedly the communications of the ancestors by just cracking their fingers or toes. This all was largely put to an end by a statement at the 1848 Universalist General Convention. Again, John Behrens explains that this was a statement of faith requiring all of its ministers to affirm that the Bible was a, quote, special revelation from God, sufficient for faith and practice, unquote. This was partially a reflection of the issue that was dividing the Unitarians in the 1840s between those who were more traditionally biblically oriented and the transcendentalists like Theodore Parker. But it was also meant to deal with individuals promoting their own special revelations, many of them young and many of them Universalist ministers who in turn were promoting them. Additionally, and this is where the sharing of this practice can get a little tender, many of the people who were supporters of spiritualism were actually bereaved mothers who wanted to communicate with their dead and deceased children. So I cannot fully discount the desire to learn how to communicate with their loved ones from beyond the grave. I don't know what home the spiritualists would find in modern Unitarian Universalism. I certainly know of colleagues personally who read tarot cards as part of their spiritual practices. I'm also aware of other colleagues who have community ministries that include private practices with clients in hypnotism. But I wonder, is communication with the dead a step too far? I also don't know what home George B. Andrada would find in Unitarian Universalism today. Either would his belief that a plurality of beliefs be too dangerous and stifle innovation? I hope that we actually might all be found guilty of the crime of innovation. I would also like to think that, considering our faith tradition is now one that embraces many faiths, and indeed has a clause in our bylaws that say we will never be guilty of the crime of stagnation either. But I wonder, where are the limits? I wish I knew. Perhaps other than saying that we cannot say that Unitarian Universalism is the only true religion, I don't know that we currently have a limit. Maybe, this is a bit of a stretch, maybe it's like what Lindsay Lohan's character in Mean Girls says, the limit does not exist. Or is the limit like what Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart said in 1964 on a ruling on obscenity? You know it when you see it. In theological belief and pluralism, what is the limit? Does it truly not exist, or will we know it when we see it? Regardless of if we can find out the answers to these questions, or if they are at all important, we must acknowledge first and foremost that the study of other religious beliefs is a good thing. It is important. Catherine Cornell, who writes about comparative theology, says this, that we can learn a lot when we study other religions, when we engage in the work of comparative theology, which she says, the goal of comparative theology is the advancement of theological truth through a process of learning from and through other religious traditions. This is what distinguishes the field of comparative theology from the comparative study of religions. While the latter focuses on understanding or religious phenomena through controlled and detailed comparisons, the former is oriented toward gaining a deeper understanding of ultimate truth itself, as revealed in or beyond any particular religion. The process of theological learning, it happens in so many different ways. Through the solitary reading of texts, through study with a teacher, ritual participation, religious practice, or a combination of all of these. It may be the result of prolonged and systematic study, or of a sudden insight and intuition leading to further exploration. So what happens when our viewpoints become expanded? When we investigate the truth of other religions? Many things can happen, friends. The first is that we can have an intensification. We learn more about both religions through interfaith engagement. Rectification can also happen. We realize the damage that calling another religion or belief superior, we realize the damage that might cause. Another outcome of the task of comparative religion is recovery of that which is lost from the beliefs we already hold. We discover or we rediscover a figure, teachings, or practices of our own tradition that were neglected, forgotten, or marginalized, or even declared heretical. Reinterpretation can happen as well. Who among us hasn't had a new, when they encounter a deeply held belief of another, we come away with it with a deeper understanding of their own beliefs. Appropriation can happen, which means we let holy envy get the best of us when we learn that another faith practice or culture or worldview has something that ours does not. John Cobb says we encounter beliefs in another belief system that now seem plausible, compelling, or even just simply true. Finally, reaffirmation can happen when we look at another religious belief. In this case, we actually leave the interfaith engagement more committed to our faith tradition. It's something that we don't expect, I think. I suppose we expect conversion on either side, I guess. Instead, we get deeper into our faith. This reason was often cited in my seminary experience as the very goal of interfaith engagement. The president of my seminary, the Reverend Dr. Nick Carter, was an American Baptist preacher. And he said that it turns out that when you put Baptists and Muslims together in a group, you don't get a watered-down faith. You instead get more committed Baptists and more committed Muslims. That is beautiful. And perhaps I think what is needed, communication and discussion to happen, but also a deeper commitment, a deeper sense of who we are. So my friends gathered here, we gain much, I believe, from being a pluralist faith. And I am grateful that this orientation is baked into who we are as a faith. Yes, we would do well to explore the limits of our pluralism, knowing that those limits, they might constantly change. May our quest for meaning, may that never truly end. May it be so. I invite you now to rise in body or spirit. We're going to sing Building Bridges. It's number 1023. How should we do this, Dean? All right, so the choir is going to do it as a round. You pick up as we go along. We will do it 3 times total. Bridges between our divisions. With this sweet harmony in our ears and on our lips, let us go forth out into the world, and let us take this light and use it to brighten our pathways. And when we need to rest or recharge, be challenged or affirmed, may that light guide us safely back. May we hold the light always, and the light hold us always. Amen, and go in peace.